Welcome to the Taste Test channel, and this week we'll be taking an impartial look at some of the most unique and iconic honeys from around the world to discover what the differences are and how some of the finest varieties around the globe differ in taste. As always, just for fun, we'll be awarding our Taste Test channel Best in Class award to the winner. If you're new to the channel, just hit the subscribe button to ensure you don't miss out on any of our regular taste tests. So honey has got to be one of nature's most amazing products. It contains sugars, vitamins, minerals and antioxidants, and it's naturally antiseptic, being used as a healing product for thousands of years. It also has an eternal shelf life and has even been found in Egyptian tombs in edible condition. And a mind-blowing fact, the average pound of honey has involved over 700 bees visiting 2 million flowers and flying 55,000 miles. A single honeybee produces less than a gram of honey in their lifetime, so it's a remarkable privilege that we get to enjoy jars of the stuff whenever we like. And just in case you're feeling sorry for the bees, commercial honey is a good thing, as long as they're leaving plenty of honey for the bees to sustain them. It keeps bee populations growing and helps pollinate millions of plants and crops every year. So most honey comes from bees who've gathered nectar from the various flowers they find in their locality, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's why honey from different areas tastes different. In this taste test, however, we'll be looking at single flower, or what we might term single origin honeys, where the bees have fed chiefly from just one type of flower, meaning that the honey has a very distinct flavour. In addition, the 6 honeys we've chosen this week are from some of the most unusual and unique ecosystems in the world, making them some of the rarest and certainly the most interesting honeys you can get your hands on. So our lineup of honeys from around the world this week is as follows. From the swamplands of Florida, we have the rare and sought after Tupelo Honey. From the highlands of Scotland, Heather Honey. From the ancient rainforests at the bottom of the earth, Tasmanian Leatherwood Honey. From the wild forests of Romania, Acacia or Black Locust Honey. A Roman and ancient Greek favourite, from Greece, Wild Thyme Honey. And finally from New Zealand, the health industry's pot of gold, Manuka Honey. Price-wise, these cover quite a range, although the cost to get hold of them may of course differ depending on where you're based. The amount in each jar varies, but you can see the price that I paid for each of them is shown below. As you can see, Manuka honey, even in its tiny pot, is 3 times more expensive than any of the others, and actually 5 times more gram for gram. The rest all fall into a more reasonable price range, with Tasmanian Leatherwood being the cheapest. Nutritional wise, the 4 key groups we usually stick to on the Taste Test channel are energy, fat, sugar and salt. Being honey, fat and salt don't really apply, but there is some variation on the others, so the chart below lists the jars from top to bottom in energy content per 100 grams. As you can see, Tasmanian Leatherwood and Manuka honey contain the most energy, with Tupelo and Thyme honey containing the least. Sugar content is also surprisingly varied. Tasmanian Leatherwood again contains the most sugar, and Heather honey contains the least. But how will all this affect the taste? Well, that's why we're here. So we're going to start with Tupelo honey from the USA, also known as swamp honey. This is a unique and rare produce from the Tupelo tree, which only blossoms 3 to 4 weeks each spring and only grows in wet, swampy soil, mostly in the creeks and backwater rivers of the Florida Panhandle. Each spring, the bees are actually transported in their hives to these remote, alligator-infested areas just as the trees begin to blossom, a 3-week bee holiday, so to speak. And this one has proved really difficult to get hold of. The pure supply is limited and sells out each year, so beware of the many Tupelo imposters. Known for its uniquely sweet taste, hence the lyrics "as sweet as Tupelo honey" from Van Morrison's song in the 70s, this pot of premium raw Tupelo is produced by YS Eco Bee Farms, who are certified as organic. So what we're going to do is open all the jars first so we can compare them visually side by side, and then we'll move on to the tasting. So we'll open up the pot. Okay, so it's golden in colour with a runny syrup consistency. The aroma is mild, none of that strong classic honey smell. Instead, I'm getting syrup and candy floss with the slightest hint of tropical flowers. And I'll look forward to tasting it after we've opened the others. Next we have Heather honey from the Highlands of Scotland in the UK. Now this one's special for 2 reasons. First off, arguably this honey shouldn't exist. Bees would never naturally choose to be in the cold, windy and mostly barren wilderness of Scotland's heather-covered moors. It's the result of painstaking and labour-intensive beekeeping, moving the bees from site to site of the purple ling heather flowers, which have an average of just 5 days producing nectar. Secondly, upland heather moorland is a rarer habitat than the rainforest and houses a unique and unpolluted environment. This version comes from Heather Hills Farm, a family-run business since the 40s. The raw product is extracted by traditional methods and without heating, which can destroy natural enzymes and good bacteria. So we'll take a look inside. So it's a classic yellow gold honey colour and it's semi-set, meaning it contains some of the honeycomb, hence the thicker texture. The aroma is much stronger on this one. As well as honey and beeswax, there's a distinct woody floral scent, like a posy of dried flowers rather than fresh or tropical ones. It smells very nice. Next we have Tasmanian Leatherwood Honey from the rainforest of Tasmania, which sits 240 kilometres south of Australia, at the bottom of the world. Leatherwood is thought to have evolved on the ancient supercontinent of Gondwana that existed 300 million years ago before the continent split. Tasmania is home to some of the oldest forests in the world, so in many ways this is the closest you can get to tasting a prehistoric honey. It can take up to 70 years for leatherwood trees to flower, so this is a rare and precious product from a unique ecosystem which is constantly under threat. This pot is made by the Tasmanian Honey Company, established in 1978, who gather it from pristine environments with minimal handling at low temperatures. So we'll open up the tin. So this has a dark golden colour with a treacle-like consistency. Wow, the aroma is intensely floral, like you're in a jungle of strong tropical flowers. There's also licorice undertones to it as well. Very unusual. Next we have Acacia Honey from Romania. Acacia, also known as black locust honey, is well known and loved worldwide. People who don't traditionally like honey are often advised to try it, as it's one of the lightest tasting honeys in the world. Romania has become a nation of beekeepers, and the bees gather nectar from vast forests of sweet-smelling false acacia blossoms, or black locust trees as they're also known. The honey is known for being extremely light and lemony white in colour and can sometimes even be completely transparent. This pot of raw organic acacia is from Bees Planet, family-run beekeepers who are passionate about bees from the forest farms of Romania. So we'll take a look inside. So this is definitely the palest so far, very light yellow golden colour and also the most runny yet. The aroma is subtle, hardly any honey notes. It's a sweet and light smell with zingy lemon citrus, maybe candy floss again, and possibly even a hint of rhubarb. Next we have thyme honey from Greece. This comes from the famous wild thyme that grows in the mountains of Crete, Greece's largest island. Greek honey has been regarded as nectar of the gods for thousands of years, with the most revered of all being wild thyme honey, due to thyme only producing a limited amount of flowers. It's even referenced in ancient texts, with Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder stating that the honey which cometh of thyme is held to be the best and most profitable, in colour like gold, in taste right pleasant. This particular pot is made by Mildest of Crete, who specialise in rare honeys made from wild Cretan herbs. So we'll open up the pot. So this is the darkest looking so far, golden brown with a thick treacle-like consistency. The aroma is very different. There's an immediate and distinct herbiness to it, with malt extract and brown sugar notes. Very interesting. Finally, we have Manuka honey from New Zealand. As I mentioned earlier, all honey is naturally antibacterial, but in the last 2 decades, Manuka in particular has been sought out worldwide for its perceived health benefits. It's mostly obtained in New Zealand from the Manuka or tea tree, which ironically had formerly been regarded as an invasive weed, producing low-quality jelly-like honey. However, a university study in the 80s identified antimicrobial activity they labelled as the unique Manuka factor, which was different to other honeys, and this has led to complex rating systems to measure, certify and market this now extremely valuable product. The unique factor identified is in fact methyl glyoxal, a compound found in most honeys, as well as in wine, coffee and chocolate, but in much lower levels. This pot from Kiva is rated Unique Manuka Factor 15 or MGO 514, which is a fairly high rating, so I expect to feel renewed, refreshed and 10 years younger after this tasting. So we'll take a look inside. So a classic yellow gold colour again and semi-set with a thick consistency. Wow, the aroma is overpoweringly medicinal. In fact, it smells just like an antiseptic wound ointment that I've used for my dogs. There's eucalyptus notes there too, but it doesn't really smell like something you'd expect to eat, so we'll have to see. Okay, so now to serve them out ready for the tasting, so I'm going to need a pot of Tupelo, Heather, Leatherwood, Acacia, Wild Thyme and Manuka. So looking at them side by side, you can see there's a surprising amount of variation. The Romanian Acacia is by far the palest and also the runniest, followed by the American Tupelo. The Crete Thyme and Tasmanian Leatherwood both have a darker colour and more treacle-like consistency, with the Scottish Heather and New Zealand Manuka having thicker, semi-set textures, and Manuka being the thickest of all. Now I don't know about you, but my favourite way of having honey is on freshly baked scones. So let's rustle some up. And now that we have our scones, let's move on to the tasting. So we'll start with Tupelo or swamp honey from Florida, USA. So it's a smooth syrupy texture and the honey flavour is very mild. It actually tastes like a cross between a golden syrup and a runny honey. Tupelo is known for being sweet, but it's not overpoweringly so, and it has delicate floral and pollen notes in the aftertaste. In summary, it's very nice. Perfect if you're not keen on the classic strong honey punch. You could use it as a syrup on pancakes, for example, and it wouldn't be too much. Next we'll try Heather honey from Scotland. So the semi-set texture has a creamy and grainy quality to it. There's much more depth of flavour to this one, but it's not excessively floral. It's a more gentle, earthy taste, like woody moorland blossom, without being perfumey. The sweetness is also milder and there's a butteriness to it with deep toffee notes to the aftertaste and the slightest citrus kick. I have to say this is delicious, very unique, and I'll definitely be coming back for more. Next we'll try Tasmanian Leatherwood Honey. So there's a treacle-like texture. Wow, the flavour is unbelievably floral, like strong pollen or lilies. It's almost like you're eating tropical flowers or a spray of perfume. There's a slight hint of licorice. The sweetness is subtle at first but increases in the aftertaste, which is very long, strong and floral, also with eucalyptus notes. In summary, this is certainly an acquired taste, but it's a dramatic one. It's almost what I'd imagine a prehistoric honey would taste like. I couldn't eat a lot of it, but it's definitely bucket list stuff. I'm glad to have tried it and would encourage anyone else to, at least once in a lifetime. Next is Acacia Honey from Romania. So this is the runniest of the lot, like a liquid syrup. It does have the classic honey taste in there, which I wasn't expecting based on its reputation, more so in fact than the Tupelo, but it is still very mild. There's citrus notes like boiled lemon candies and also a hint of peaches. It's sugary and syrupy, the sweetest so far, with long high notes in the aftertaste. In summary, it's pleasant, similar to the Tupelo but sweeter and with more honey notes. Next we'll try Wild Thyme Honey from Crete. So a sticky treacle-like texture. Again, a really different and unique flavour here, and you can absolutely taste herbs, which I know is thyme, but it could just as easily be rosemary or marjoram, and it adds a completely unique dimension. It's very sweet, but the sugars have a toffee apple or burnt sugar quality to them, particularly in the aftertaste. In summary, this is sweet, herby, rich and complex, a really interesting honey. Finally, we'll try Manuka Honey from New Zealand. So this is the thickest one and semi-set with a grainy texture. Okay, so the flavour is very weird. It tastes like antiseptic. It's not as medicinal as the smell, and there's a butteriness and eucalyptus notes to it, but medicine is what it tastes like. There's no floral notes, it's more like Vicks. I feel I should be rubbing it on rather than eating it. In fairness, it's sweet and you can tell it's honey, but it's certainly not for scones or toast. I would save it for medical requirements. And even then, something primal is telling me that it just tastes wrong, but that could just be me. So that covers how they all differ in taste, and now that we've tasted them all, as always, just for fun, we award our Taste Test Channel winners and Best in Class award. I have to say it's really hard to choose winners here because every one of these is unique and different honeys are good for different things, from a cooking ingredient to eating with scones, toast or pancakes. If you're seeking the ultimate floral honey, for example, I really can't imagine beating Tasmanian Leatherwood, which is like a blossoming tropical rainforest in a tin. For a mild, easygoing but zingy honey that would go well with yoghurt or on toast, then Romanian Acacia is a quality choice. And if you're a bit bunged up and want to clear the airways, then maybe even Manuka would be the one to grab. But our top 3 this week are as follows. Winning 3rd place, Wild Thyme Honey from Mildest of Crete, with deep toffee notes and rich, complex herby flavours, really unique, very pleasant, and personally I can't wait to use some of this to glaze a ham. Winning 2nd place, Tupelo Honey from YS Eco Bee Farms of Florida, a uniquely syrupy honey with delicate floral and pollen notes. I'll be using this one on pancakes. But in 1st place this week in the iconic honeys from around the world, the Taste Test Channel Best in Class award goes to Heather Honey from Heather Hills Farm in Scotland. An exceptional honey with gentle but full wildflower heather moorland flavours along with deep toffee notes. I've tasted a lot of honeys in the past and I have to say that without a doubt this stands out as the most delicious honey I've ever tried. It's an amazing tasting honey and definitely the one I could eat the most of, so well done to Heather Hills Farm of Scotland. And as always, taste is subjective and this is purely my point of view, but I hope this has provided some useful insights. So I've certainly enjoyed making this episode. I really hope you've enjoyed watching it. And if you have, it really helps us if you hit the thumbs up button and please do consider sharing it with others. And just a note in support of all our amazing but declining bees, every flower planted makes a difference. So every window box, garden or patch of wild meadow helps sustain them. And buying organic means more crops without pesticides. So why not bee friendly? Finally, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell to ensure you don't miss out on any of our regular taste tests. And just a note, as always, to thank everyone who supports us. We're a new and growing channel, so every thumbs up and subscriber really does make a difference. We're not sponsored by the brands we feature, and each video takes 6 days to make, so a massive, massive thank you to the handful of particularly generous viewers who support us via Patreon. You keep us going, and we are eternally grateful. As always, please do comment and let us know what food or drink items you'd like to see on some of our forthcoming taste test episodes. Meanwhile, thanks for watching and be good.